Next installment on the Trans-Africa trip saga, and this one takes place in Kenya. Martin and I were driving the Land Rover from Nairobi. We decided to go out to the Masai Mara. We were very lucky. Well, we kind of hoped the timing would work out, but we got lucky that it was the migration, the Wildebeest migration time. So we drove the Land Rover, I can't remember how many hours, a couple of hours out to the Masai Mara. And as we were going up this dirt road to the entrance to the park, we I think Martin was driving, and just at the last minute he saw there was kind of a dip in the road as we were going, so that we were climbing like this, and then there was a little dip and then up, and he half avoided it and we bumped it, and we thought, well, that's quite bad. And so we said, we must be careful when we're leaving here, because we have to go back the same day. You can't, you don't want to be driving the roads at night. Be careful when we're coming out that we don't hit that, because if we hit it coming down the hill with a bit more speed, that could be really bad. Okay, so we go into the park, we pay our fees, we're driving around, and we're stupid English people who don't know anything at all about animals, wildlife. We're getting out of the vehicle when we shouldn't, and Martin almost got attacked by a lion. We got charged by elephants a couple of times. That's another story, but we had a fantastic day, and we saw the Wildebeest migration was in full swing. There were thousands of the animals. The lions were just lying there on the side, like, I couldn't eat another Wildebeest to save my life. Wildebeest are walking right past their mouths, and they're like, no, I can't eat another one, I'm full. Fantastic. So it's time to leave. We need a couple of hours, whatever it was, to get back to Nairobi. So we go to the gate, say thank you to the rangers, we drive down the road, and just as I said to Martin, hey, don't forget about, we drove straight into that dip, smash. And we broke the suspension. The Land Rover has, this old Land Rover, ours is a 109, has a leaf spring suspension at the back. And we snapped it has a bolt, so the leaf spring suspension is like this, and it has a bolt that hooks around it and holds it onto the chassis, and we broke one of these off. We snapped it because we hit the ground so hard. And we had a lot of weight in the back with all our spares, etc. So the Land Rover could still crawl along maybe, but not very far. But anyway, it was only a couple of 100 meters outside the gate. So we went back to the gate and spoke to the rangers, and they had Land Rovers, much more new ones than ours, but the same U-bolt. So we got the U-bolt from the rangers, paid about $25 I think for it. It was so lucky they had one. Now we need to fix it onto the Land Rover. But you've got this curved leaf spring. You've got the U-bolt that goes around it. You've got the chassis of the Land Rover. And then even though the leaf spring is broken, you've got like a hydraulic, the suspension. And so you need to lift the vehicle, lift the wheel, lift the U-bolt, lift the leaf spring and attach the U-bolt. And we had 3 jacks. We had a small bottle jack, the big off-road one you see, you crank it like this, the big arm that lifts the vehicle up, the high lift jack, and another medium-sized bottle jack. So we really needed another one to push everything into place. So we're underneath the Land Rover on the dirt road trying to figure this out. We're both underneath putting these in, and I glance out from under the Land Rover and I see next to us suddenly there are about 6 or 7 pairs of feet in sandals, and one in shoes, very Western office style shoes. So I nudge Martin. Oh, and pieces of wood sticking down. Nudge Martin, and we look out, and it's Masai. It's about 5 Masai warriors. The sticks, of course, are their spears, and one African dude in a brown suit. And I don't know, we're worrying, first of all, are we trespassing on some land? Have we done something wrong? Are we in trouble? What's the agenda with these people? And they're like, hello? And then the guy in the brown suit says, good afternoon, my name is George. Looks like you might need some help. In perfect English, almost like Etonian kind of English. Martin and I are like, what? What's going on? I said, how come you speak such good English? And he said, all the tribes, they put money in, they sell a cow maybe, or they do something, money from the tourists. They put money into a fund, and then every generation they send one guy. I think it was only at that stage it was only men, but they send someone, a youngster, away to school. He said, I went to school at a school in Nairobi and then in England. He was educated in England. And then he said, I come back and I help and I advise the tribe. That's my job. So, oh, that's great. And he said, well, how can we help you? And he said, well, this is the problem. You know, this is what's gone wrong with the Land Rover. This is what is broken, and this is our challenge because we don't have enough jacks. So he says, okay, fine, we can help you with that. And the Maasai put down their spears, and they all come, and they basically act like one jack. Like 6 of them lift the side of the Land Rover. We use the other 3 jacks. We lift that, we lift the wheel, we lift it, we put it on, tighten up the U-bolt. Good as new in 15, 20 minutes. Fantastic. Tried to give the Maasai guys some money. No, George won't have that. No need for any money. Gave him some tea. We always carried lots of tea in the Land Rover, especially as neither of us drank it. But Fortnum and Mason tea. Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciative. Glad to be of assistance. Fantastic. What a great experience. But now it's too late to drive back to Nairobi. It's getting dark. It's not dark, but it's getting dark. So what do? Well, we drive back up to the gates and we explain the problem to the rangers, and they say, yes, you're absolutely right. It's not safe to drive that road at night. You have to stay here. Look, just inside the gate, you can come back in again. There's a little campsite. There's somebody else staying there tonight as well. You can stay. Okay, so fantastic. We say, right, let's do that. So we drive in, we park up. Now, the back of a Land Rover, like a 109, is just under 6 feet long. And my friend Martin's 5'11", I'm 6'2". So we had these makeshift camp beds in the back where he usually slept, except when he was terrorized by Cedric, but that's another story. And I would sleep outside in a tent. So great, set up the tent. We think, well, we're in the bush. We see there's another couple. And I think they have a Toyota Hilux a little bit away from us, not really paying much attention to them, but I see they have a little fire going. So I look over and there's a tree, an old tree, a dead tree that's fallen down. And I remember from Boy Scouts, only dead wood for a little fire, don't cut any live branches. Take the machete, the panga, like this long, and go out there, and I'm chopping. I'm about 50, 60 meters away from the Land Rover, and Martin's back there chopping some onions or something ready, and I'm cutting this tree, doof, 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 and I hear this noise. It's like a thud. And I look, and there's a leopard. It's just dropped out of the tree, probably like 10 meters from me. As I said before, stupid English person knows nothing at all about game and how amazingly dangerous leopards are. I learned later that there was one that became a real nasty animal in the Kruger National Park. Would wait in a tree until the workers in an open-top truck were going in the morning. One morning it jumped out of the tree into the back of this truck, and it killed, I think it was 8 guys. And one of the survivors said, like, it was like fighting a chainsaw. It was claws and teeth, and particularly the back claws into your stomach that did all the damage. I don't know any of this. I was like, that's just a big pussycat, you know, and I've got this big knife. So I didn't look for trouble. Like, I didn't stare it in the eyes. I wasn't that stupid, but I just looked at the ground in front of it, and I held the machete up like, okay, I have to fight this thing. I'm sure I can take it. I just smack it with this panga on the nose. It will be all right. And it looked at me, and it didn't seem that long, you know, like a few seconds, and then it turned around and just padded away. I was like, okay, fine. So I chopped a few more branches, and then the guy from the couple who were also at the camping site, Swiss guy, he's running to me, hey. I was like, what? Don't know, there's a leopard in that tree. And I said, no, there isn't anymore. It just dropped out, and it ran away. He's like, oh my God, you're so crazy. It's like, look, nothing happened. Don't worry about it. So we get some firewood, come back to the camp, start a little fire. We find actually there's a brick area, like a brick circle where you're allowed to put your little fire in. So we don't want to start a bushfire. Another thing I didn't know about as an English person. But anyway, we did the right thing. And we cooked something. It's going dark, time for bed. So Martin goes in the Land Rover, I've got my tent, and it's between the Land Rover and the river. So we're sitting waiting, everything's set up, and then suddenly the Masai are there, about 3 of them. And it's like, oh, hello guys. And they say, look, we were just passing, and we want to invite you to the, George sent us to invite you to the camp. Now we have another reason. I didn't really understand that, but anyway, he says, right, we say, okay, wow, let's go. And so let's go to the Masai place, why not? So we put our boots on and we get a light for walking along in the dark. Of course, they don't need one, but we need to get back. We get off, we go walk off, and it was miles. Oh my God, we walked and we walked and we walked. I think it must have been like, I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 8 kilometers. And of course, they're just walking along, and we're like getting more and more tired, and then you stumble over things because you can't see, and that makes you more tired, and it took forever. Anyway, we arrive at the Masai village, and we sit there, and they come around, and there's something going on, some kind of ceremony. They're all seated around in a circle. We see George, hello George, and George comes, sits next to us so he can tell us what's going on. Then this lady comes with a gourd, like it looks like an old-fashioned like wine flask, and like, here, drink some of this. And I was like, what is it? And it's like, you don't, George was like, don't be rude, just drink it, you have to. So I was like, okay. And as soon as it came near me, oh my God, the smell. I was like, almost vomiting. So I was like, oh, drink some of this. And I said, no, drink more, and blah, push it down. And oh my God, it was horrible. Swallowed it down. And of course, it's fermented cow's milk, I think, something like that. And then Martin drinks some. Of course, Martin being Martin, he likes it, he's drinking it. The next couple of hours are hazy. This is my best recollection of what I think happened, subject to Martin's correction, or if we ever invent a time machine and go back and check. I apologize if I'm getting some of this wrong, but I was destroyed by this drink. It was the Masai coming of age ceremony. So it's where they have a tradition, excuse me if I get this wrong, but what I understand is that the young Masai warriors, the young lads, before they become warriors, their manhood transition experience is they have to leave the tribe and they go off to live by themselves. And if I remember rightly, what George was telling me, they must either kill a lion or live for a year, and then they come back. And then they're a warrior. They're not children anymore. They have rights. They can take a wife, and the rest of it. And this was a ceremony of the return of these lads. And a couple of them had killed lions. Now, the way they kill the lion is they don't chase it and stab it, because you're going to lose. A lion's 300, 400 kilos. It's going to take you out, no problem. They develop this technique where they have a spear which has a blade on each end. So a smaller blade on one end and a big killer blade on the other. And what they have to do is they antagonize the lion until it attacks them, jumps at them, and they stick the one end into the ground and hold up the other end with the big blade on, so the lion impales itself. Now, of course, they're taking the chance of these jaws and claws coming onto them while they do this. So it's immensely brave, but that's what they do. And then they cut the tail, and the tail gets wrapped, maybe not all of it, but part of it goes onto the spear, and that's their symbol of manhood. So we watched the guys getting awarded by the chief, and then George says, now you. And I was like, you mean now me? I haven't done anything. What about Martin? He's like, no, you. I was like, I don't understand. He says, no, come, don't be rude, come to the chief, I'll come with you. So, and I'm struggling to walk, I'm really drunk, and my head is pounding, and it's dark, it's way too dark, no natural lights, just fire and torches, like a old Tarzan movie. And anyway, got in front of the chief, and George is translating what the chief is saying to me, and he's got this spear, and he talks, and then George says, bravery and here's your spear, you are honorary member of the tribe. And I'm thinking, like, I'm really drunk here, I don't understand this. And I said, George, but I didn't kill a lion. He said, no, but the warriors I sent to fetch you guys to come for our ceremony, they saw you stand down the leopard. They saw you stand up to the leopard and not be afraid. And I was like, yeah, but it's just a little cat. It's not like a lion, And they, again, I don't know. Fighting a leopard is I don't know, maybe even harder than fighting a lion. And I said, yeah, but I still didn't kill it. And they're like, no, but you had no training, you didn't know what you were doing, this is pure courage. And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's pure stupidity. Anyway, he presents me with this spear. And I don't deserve this spear, and I don't want this spear, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the spear. And I said to George, look, I'm sorry, I can't take this, you know. And then he's like, warns me very sternly. He's like, you do not turn down this honor. I said, but I can't take it. And he's like, you have to take it. I said, okay, I take it. And then I said, but Chief, please tell the chief, from here we are going on to Tanzania. Now there's a lot of, at least let's call it rivalry, but antipathy between the Kenyans and the Tanzanians, especially the Masai. If I take this with me, at the border they will check my vehicle and they will take this from me. I will lose it. There's discussion. And then I say, please tell him I want to leave it with George and he can look after it for me, this great honor, and one day I will come back. And there was a bit of discussion, and then George said, okay, the chief says that's fine, and he took it. And then I don't really remember anything at all after that, except we got back to the campsite. The Masai must have guided us there, I don't even remember. Went to sleep. Now I had a tire iron. We expected to get many punctures in the Land Rover, and the bolts, I think it's an inch, these bolts, they're very hard to get off with a normal tire iron. So on the advice of James, the mechanic guy who trained us for this trip to Africa, another story about James, he told us take the socket that goes onto the bolt and weld it to a 1 meter aluminium rod. So you've got lots of leverage. So you put it onto the car and and also just a reasonable amount of pressure is about the right torque that you want to put onto that bolt when you put them back. Yeah, he saved us so many times. Later we had 7 punctures in one day in Zambia, and we were thanking him every day for this thing. But anyway, I used to have it next to me at night for security. So after all this bizarre stuff, still foggy from this fermented cow juice milk, I just remember suddenly waking up again in my tent at, it must have been, I guess, probably light at 5, so maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, to this growl outside the tent and something touching, just scraping the tent. I had my flashlight. I said, do I turn that on? No, because I might die. I had the 1 meter aluminium rod. And then the next thing on my mind was the most important thing that I need right now is my boots. I got to have my boots on because I can kick and I can run. And it makes you realize as a human being, outside of our homes, even on the street, but even more so in the savannah, without shoes, we're useless. We can barely walk, can't run, can't fight. Pulled my boots on, grabbed this, one hand on my tire lever, one hand on the flashlight, waiting. And then the next thing I remember waking up, 7 o'clock in the morning, horrible hangover. Cooked some breakfast with Martin, told him what happened. He's like, oh, I wonder what that was, you know? And I said, yeah, I think it was a lion, or maybe that leopard came back. Then we looked down the side of the tent. As I said, the tent was pitched between the Land Rover and the little river. And there it was, alongside the outside of the tent, this like slithering pattern in the mud, crocodile. And it looked like it was huge, looked like a 3-4 meter crocodile. Just went, I can feel it, the hairs on the back of my neck standing up now. It just went past the tent. Ooh, shiver down my back. And that was the growl. I didn't know crocodiles growled at that stage. So that was it. Bad hangover, amazing night. Packed everything in the Land Rover. Drove out of the gate very slowly, very carefully, around the big hole, and back to Nairobi, ready for the next stage of our adventure.